Let me share an example. One of my one example that I give a lot as the goal of DEI work or a successful conversation in DEI work is, let's say somebody comes to a product manager or the head of product at a company and says, "You're designing products that cater to the woke agenda," right? A very clear anti-DEI attack. I want that head of product to be able to say, it's a great concern that you raised, that we are catering to some groups over others. Uh, you're right. About 10 years ago, it turned out we've got data that our products were, dramatically overused by just men or just white folks or just non-disabled people. And over the last 10 years, we've really expanded the groups who are able to access and use our product. And so now I can clearly say with data that our product now applies to everybody. So
Mhm.
I hear your concern that we are catering to one group over others. We used to do that 10 years ago, and now we've solved that problem. Isn't that
Mhm.
great? We've designed a product that works for everybody. Did you have any further concerns? And sure, that's a little bit tongue in cheek, right? But using that kind of example, being so crystal clear, arguing with data that is incontrovertible, just takes all the air out of these kinds of anti-DEI
Yeah,
attacks,
yeah,
right? Because like those attacks thrive in an environment with low information and high anxiety, always. So the
yeah.
more information and the more clarity and the more efficacy you can provide, it just shuts those conversations straight down. Because how are you
Mhm.
supposed to argue
Mhm.
with that, right? Like,
Right, right.
we want products that everyone can use, right? Like that's very clear. And you can argue that from an ethical standpoint, you can argue that from a business standpoint, a moral standpoint. It's a
Mhm.
win-win-win-win across the board.
Yeah,
And the same applies for pretty much everything. It applies to sales, it applies to built environment, it applies to services, it applies to pretty much everything. We want to build organizations and products and services in a society that works for everyone because everybody benefits.